Now, Besigye has taken General Muhoozi Kainerugaba in court, and he has sued him over threats to hang him on Heroes Day. Welcome to the African Stance. Jailed opposition politician Dr. Kizza Besigye and his co-accused Haj Obed Lutale have filed a fresh application before the High Court seeking to halt criminal proceedings against them, citing alleged gross violations of their constitutional rights. The two, who are facing charges of treason and misprision of treason, urge that their prosecution has been irreparably tainted by what they describe as unlawful abduction, torture, prolonged detention, and prejudicial public statements allegedly made by the Chief of Defense Forces, that is General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. The application names General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Colonel Peter Ahimbisiwe, and Lieutenant Colonel Ephraim Biaruhanga, described as UPDF officers allegedly involved in an operation in Kenya, as respondents alongside the Attorney General. Through their lawyers, Besigye and Lutale contend that the circumstances surrounding their arrest, detention, and prosecution have undermined their constitutional right to a fair trial. They are seeking declarations that their alleged abduction from Nairobi, Kenya on November 16, 2024 by Ugandan military officers was unlawful, and it renders the subsequent criminal proceedings legally untenable. They further argue that their detention at Makinde military barracks before being produced in court violated constitutional protections against arbitrary detention and torture. According to court documents, the pair allege that they were forcibly seized in Nairobi while attending a book launch hosted by Kenyan politician and lawyer Martha Karuya. They claim they are transferred to Uganda without extradition proceedings, held incommunicado for 4 days, denied access to lawyers, family members, and medical personnel, and subsequently arraigned before the General Court Martial. The application also challenges the legality of their continued prosecution in light of the Supreme Court decision in Attorney General versus Michael Kabaziguruka, who restricted the trial of civilians before military courts. Central to the application are allegations that Muhoozi made repeated public statements that prejudged the case and threatened Besigye's life, thereby undermining his right to a fair hearing. Now, this is where everything starts, and this is the basis of the matter for Besigye suing Muhoozi in here. And let's start it off. Court cites several posts allegedly made on social media platform X, including one dated January 16, 2025, stating that we will hang KB on Heroes Day. That's the best day for him to die. That was the first post on X. Another post dated 19th, 2026 alleged that Besigye wanted to kill Muhoozi. Muhoozi, he means Museveni, his father. So far as we are concerned, UPDF, he's a dead man walking. So he referred to him as a dead man walking. A further post allegedly made in April 2026 is cited saying, I think we might hang Besigye by next month. If we don't hang him, we will shoot him dead. That will be a great day for Uganda. Other statements referenced in the application include remarks that Besigye would leave prison only in his coffin after we hang him or shoot him, all after apologizing to President Museveni, and that he would not be released until subjected to the full extent of court martial or the martial law. Now, the applicants argue that the statements made to public prejudgment of guilt, threats of extrajudicial punishment, psychological torture, and interference with judicial independence. The application states, the first respondent statements individually and cumulatively constitute direct threats of life, psychological and mental torture, public prejudgment of guilt, and interference with the independence and impartiality of the court. Now, their lawyers further comment that the statements undermine the constitutional presumption of innocence and exert undue pressure on the trial court. The application also raises concerns over delays in the criminal proceedings, alleging that despite court orders requiring disclosure of prosecution evidence, compliance was delayed, resulting in the trial failing to commence by June 2026. In a supporting affidavit, advocate and human rights defender Tumusime Kakuru urges that the cumulative effect of the alleged violations has rendered a fair trial impossible. Now, that's what they are saying, that this is really impossible. And what is really impossible, it's the fair trial. He maintains that the applicants were initially charged before a military tribunal despite constitutional jurisprudence restricting the trial of civilians in military courts, and that the alleged procedural violations justify termination of the case. The applications are seeking orders nullifying the criminal proceedings, their unconditional release, medical treatment and rehabilitation for alleged torture, related trauma, as well as costs of the application. According to records of the judiciary's electronic court case management information systems, the Attorney General and the other respondents had not filed response at the time the application was lodged. Meanwhile, proceedings before Justice Emmanuel Baguma were marked by disagreements between the defense and prosecution over the progression of the treason trial, particularly the appointment of 3 assessors. Assessors are lay people who sit with the judge during trial proceedings and provide an advisory opinion on whether an accused person should be convicted or acquitted. Their opinion is not binding on court. During submissions, defense lawyers led by Elias Lukwago, Frederick Mpanga, and Ernest Kalibala objected to what they described as a rapid advancement of the case while several pending applications remained unresolved. Following submissions from both sides, Justice Baguma directed the Deputy Registrar and the Judiciary's Head of Security to prioritize court cases for elderly persons, relatives, and VIPs due to limited court space. The judge also noted that prison authorities had expressed readiness to facilitate meetings between the accused persons and their lawyers. The defense had sought permission to access prison facilities with computers, laptops, notebooks, projectors, flash disks, and food to prepare for trial. Baguma directed the parties to agree on preliminary issues before the court issues a memorandum of agreed points ahead of the trial, stressing that all preliminary matters must first be concluded. He subsequently appointed 3 assessors, John Musana, Sarah Babiri, and Richard Okello, whose credentials he said had been verified and submitted to public registrar. He directed that their particulars be shared with the defense before they take oath. The judge further ordered the prosecution team, led by Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Thomas Jatiko and Chief State Anton Richard Bidivomboka, to present its first witness on June 11, 2026. Earlier, Besigye expressed confusion over whether pre-trial proceedings had concluded, questioning the appointment of assessors while his constitutional challenge remained unresolved. The judge later adjourned proceedings before Besigye could complete his remarks. Besigye subsequently stated that Museveni should stop being shy and reintroduce pre-trial detention laws instead of, in his view, allowing the court process to be misused. Besigye, Lutale, and Captain Dennis Ola remain on remand until June 11, 2026. The trial is jointly charged with treason for allegedly plotting the overthrow of government. Prosecutors allege they held meetings in Geneva, Athens, Nairobi, and Kampala to solicit funds, acquire weapons, and organize paramilitary operations. The state further alleges that Besigye met Kurdish intelligence agent identified as Andrew Wilson and received $5,000, facilitated the transportation of 36 Ugandan recruits to Kisumu, Kenya for military training before the plan was disrupted. Prosecutors also claim the accused sought surface to air missiles, ricin poison, and counterfeit currency, and planned drone-based assassination attempts against President Museveni. According to the prosecution, the case is supported by audio and video recordings, social media messages, immigration records, and telephone data alleged linking the accused to the alleged plot. So that's exactly what you're having in here to the African Stance. So we call upon for your reactions in the comment section below. General Muhoozi sued by Dr. Kizza Besigye. Where will this end? And is it getting more better, or it's getting more threatening to one of the sides involved in the case? Is it taking a very huge twist? All of that in the comment section below.